Welcome to the Supernatural Life Show, Devra.
Thank you.
Great. So, studies have been coming out from around the world. They're being released and reporting the health hazards of cell phones. Can you please tell us the latest news from researchers in Europe?
Well, researchers in Europe have found that where people have used a cell phone heavily for 10 years or more, then they find a doubled risk of brain tumors, including tumors called gliomas, which are malignant, including tumors of the acoustic nerve, the hearing nerve. And the problem has been that most studies have not gone on for more than 10 years, and that most of us, certainly in the United States, have not used cell phones for very long in a regular basis. So as a result, we have not been finding evidence of harm in the United States, and in fact, unfortunately, there is no research underway in the United States now at all on this question of the human impact of cell phones.
None. There's no research being conducted in the U.S. That's shocking.
That is correct. And that's one of the things I testified before the Senate hearing. Senators Specter and Harkin held a hearing in September, and then information on all of that can be found on our website. C-SPAN covered the hearing, and it's archived there, as well as snippets can be found on YouTube. The bottom line is Israel, France, Finland, China, Russia have all issued warnings about safer use of cell phones, and that's why you and I, Beth, are launching this campaign for safer cell phones.
That's right. Now, other countries are putting warning labels on cell phones. What else are they doing to regulate? And is there anything being done by the industry that's regulation?
That's really interesting. Actually, nobody has yet put a label directly on a phone. They're moving in that direction. What they have done is to advertise more explicitly what we all know, which is that cell phones do emit electromagnetic radiation. But labeling is something that the brave and I think independent and spunky legislator from Maine, Andrea Boland, is asking for. Put a label on the phone. What the cell phone companies are doing quietly now is if you bother to read the manuals tucked into the box with all those information, you will see that they all say, hold the phone a distance from your body. Do not keep it on your body. The cell phone manufacturers are now quietly sneaking information into the packages that says, keep the phone some distance from your body. If you read the BlackBerry manual, which very few people do, it says to hold it 0.98 inches from your body. But even those warnings are based on a model of a 6-foot-tall man weighing 200 pounds with an 11-pound head. So for most of us who are smaller, and certainly for children, the distance that a phone should be safely held is even greater than that.
Now, I remember hearing you talk and showing images of children. You said that children's heads, are so much less dense than adults, and that the cell phone radiation can go way beyond the 3 inches that for adults. It goes almost across their entire skull. Is that so?
Well, it certainly can, and there's some debate within the modeling community about the precise way to model this. But here's the deal. Even if cell phones were identical in the amount of absorption into the brain, what we know about a child's head is this. The brain of a baby doubles in the first 2 years of life. The skull and the skin are thinner than the rest of us, and the babies' and children's heads contain more fluid. In fact, the brain of an adult doesn't really mature until the early 20s, and not surprisingly, it matures a little bit later for young men than women, when myelination is complete, and that's the process by which the nerves get surrounded by this fatty protective sheath of myelin. So myelination isn't really complete until the early 20s. Think about what that means for young people today, some of whom are glued to their phones. Now, the good news is that kids today are texting, and texting is a much safer way to use a phone. Nobody is telling people to stop using their phones. We simply want them to use them more safely, and frankly, we want to encourage industry to design phones that emit less electromagnetic radiation.
What do you think about shielding? They have these little devices that you can put on your phone, and in your case, actually, there's one that you can put on an iPhone or a BlackBerry that's in the case. Has there been research about that? Are those accurate?
I have no idea. And, that's that's the dilemma. Should it be my job to know whether or not any of these things actually work? I don't know. Time magazine has an article coming out next week that says that there's one device that does work. I don't know, and I don't think it should be my job to find out. I think that's the job of the government and the private sector to give us information that we can trust and to make it public. The question is, why are they quietly putting information into pamphlets that nobody reads saying, don't hold the phone on your body? And yet all their ads show people with the phone plastered right next to the ear.
Right. We're talking with Dr. Devra Davis, the founder of Environmental Health Trust. Let's talk a little bit about long-term versus short-term health risks. Is it true that, you've mentioned that it takes 10 years to develop a tumor, but are there other issues like maybe hearing loss? Can it affect people's hearing that we're not really tuned into yet?
Well, certainly, as people with hearing aids do know, it's more difficult to use a cell phone comfortably if you have a hearing aid. And there is some evidence that just like loud music listened to for a long time clearly can damage your hearing acuity, there is some concern about long-term use of phones, although, again, this is not something that has been well studied. What has been very interestingly studied is this. Animal experiments have been done using levels of electromagnetic radiation, just like those from cell phones today, in a number of laboratories under controlled conditions looking at rodents. They train these rodents to follow their way out of a maze to find certain objects. And then what they found is that when they expose them to cell phone radiation, they get lost. They can't remember. They get confused. Interestingly, there have been a few double-blinded studies in humans. That means that the investigator and the person analyzing the data don't know whether the data have been from someone exposed or not exposed. And in those experiments, what they found is this. People exposed to cell phone radiation respond faster afterwards, but with more mistakes. So you reduce the reaction time, and you make more errors. And they have a harder time remembering long strings of numbers or remembering things in general. So think about that the next time you can't find your car key.
That's a really good point. Devra, stay with us for a moment. I'm going to take a short break. You're listening to Dr. Devra Davis on Your Supernatural Life here on Green 960. I'm constantly trying out new holistic and healthy green products, and I'd like to share what I really love with you. So I'm having a drawing with free giveaways. I'll run this promotion during the month of March and announce the winners on my April 3rd show. From Peacekeeper Cosmetics, ranked as one of the safest cosmetic lines in America, you'll get $50 worth of wonderful lipsticks, lip gloss, and nail polish. Peacekeeper uses sustainable, organic ingredients sourced from some of the best chemical-free farmers on Earth. From Kids Can Serve, you'll get a signature waste-free lunch kit worth $42. It includes a recycled cotton lunch sack, 2 8-ounce food-grade leak-proof stainless steel containers and water bottle, a cotton cloth napkin, and reusable sandwich wrap. It's a great alternative to using plastic baggies, plastic wrap, and foil that all eventually get thrown away. From Body Ami, a 2-month supply of their amazing health drink worth $40. It's made with fresh, organic, unpasteurized, and unfiltered apple cider vinegar blended with tropical fruits and berries, and then gently sweetened with a touch of honey. The result is a delicious, refreshing drink full of natural vitamins and antioxidants. And vinegar is one of the world's first medicines. It's known to promote healthy digestion, increase metabolism, fight bacteria, and boost the immune system. And finally, an autographed copy of my book, Supernatural Home, Improve Your Health, Home, and Planet, One Room at a Time. It's endorsed by Deepak Chopra, Ralph Nader, Dr. Joe Mercola, and many others. And this book reveals the dangers of hidden chemicals in our homes and gives safe, easy alternatives you can use to keep you and your family healthy. It's easy to win. All you have to do is be on my mailing list to be eligible. So log on to supernaturalmom.com and add your name to my list. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I'm talking with Dr. Devra Davis on Your Supernatural Life here on Green 960. So I have some questions from some listeners. Are some phones better than others? Do we have data on that in terms of protection?
Well, first of all, let me say I want to add my name to the list of those who endorse your book. It's a wonderful book, and everybody should read it. It's full of great practical advice, and it's been very helpful to me and my family.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for all that you're doing, Beth. I really appreciate it. Now, there are phones that emit less radiation.